PD Beats here from Pop Turnus, speaking to Bukola Ayoka about Robyn Hood on Global TV. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
First thing that comes to mind is even before I saw like a trailer for this, just reading about what this show was going to be, I was like, this is so unique. Is it safe to say that's what it was like for you reading the script for this?
100%. 150%. One of the most unique things that I've gone out for and been a part of, for sure.
And it's like, it is a little kind of complicated to explain a little bit. Like, there's a lot kind of happening. Like, what can you do? Like, explain as much as you can about Robyn Hood on Global TV.
So it is a modern twist on the classic Robyn Hood tale.
Yep.
But we have a female lead, and they're hip hop artists. Like, they rap and they sing, and they're fighting crime. They're robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, but it's in a modern take, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. Ensemble cast, obviously, you got to work with a lot of people on this. Does it kind of, you worked on a lot of projects where sometimes there's big casts, sometimes there's smaller casts. Is it all kind of storytelling for you, or does the mindset change depending on how big the cast is and the collaboration?
I try and keep it about storytelling because then it's just easier to focus that way. But this was a very big cast, so it was kind of like at times, but I tried to keep it about the story and just my character.
What can you say about your character without giving too much away?
What is feisty? My first day, I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm starting fights. The director came up to me and had me start a fight. So she's rowdy. She's a feisty little firecracker, for sure.
And is it like, what's that kind of like reading a character in the script and then seeing it kind of come to life on screen? Like, I'm just curious about that kind of transformation.
I didn't know how rowdy she was meant to be until I got to set, and they're like, no, bring it up a bit more, bring it up more, bring it up more. X would come up to us and like give us direction about that. But it was really cool because I was going in with a different expectation of like the levels that she would reach, but she blew me out of the park with her chaos.
Whether you've been on a set one time, Bukola, or 1,000 times, you're always going to learn something new. There's always going to be learning experiences no matter what, because, you know, it's a different project, different script, you're working with a different crew. What were some learning experiences for you as a storyteller actor on Robyn Hood specifically?
Director X was someone who was very present. I think that was something that was evident with every single day of shooting we had, and it really grounded all of us and allowed us to play off of each other in a different way. His level of awareness and presence was so contagious, and I think that was something I really got to practice in a new way. Just like you're more reactive, you're more in the moment when you're listening actively like that, instead of like, okay, my line's coming up, da da da. There's none of that. It was all, okay, I'm feeding off of you, we're doing this in the moment. And that was something that Director X really set the tone for in a cool way. First time.
Obviously, acting is something you're focusing on. You're acting in Robyn Hood on Global TV. But, you know, a lot of people kind of end up naturally just wearing many hats in the entertainment industry. They go behind the camera, you know, they write, they direct, they produce. Is that something that you want to kind of do moving forward as well?
100%. 100%. I'd love to direct. I do write. I'd love to produce as well. Just do it all while you're at it. Just have control of the whole story.
I feel like with indie film and TV, it just kind of happens that you are doing all those things, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You might as well just get the title for it too while you're at it.
Can we make an argument that Robyn Hood is a genre-bending show?
Correct. Yes, 150%.
Do you notice that as soon as you start filming it?
Pardon?
Or do you like notice that when you start filming it, or a little later on?
A little bit later on, because when you're filming it, we're filming in pieces, we're filming different blocks. It's kind of hard to see what it's going to turn into. So only now that it's coming out that I'm like, oh, I see what we're doing here.
Do you feel like genre bending? Like, it's funny because remember during the pandemic, like hot sauce was like a huge trend and everyone was buying hot sauce and everything. Yeah. I feel like genre bending became like a trend, and it's like people go to like now make genre bending movies. But some of my favorite movies from like the 2000s, Bukola, I don't feel like the director woke up in the morning and said, I want to make a comedy, horror, vampire drama. Like, I feel like it just happens. But now I feel like it's planned a little bit more.
I would agree. I like it. I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not either, no.
Same, right? Before I'm like, I like my comedies with my comedies and I like my dramas with my dramas. But now I'm kind of into the little bit of a mishmash.
Well, some of our favorite kind of shows growing up, and like, we're both originally from Canada and everything, and like, Degrassi and everything. That for me, I always saw that as like, yeah, it was like funny, but then like the drama was like, okay, this is like, there's nothing to laugh at. Like, I feel like shows have always had that kind of mix. You know what I mean? If you think about it.
Yeah, totally.
And and then like some of my favorite like sitcoms growing up had like really serious undertones. Like I feel like we're not reinventing the wheel with the genre bending at all.
No. I think now that we just have more of a variety of it, we're like, oh, our eyes are a bit more sharp to it. But it's always been there. I would agree.
Yeah, 100%. Robyn Hood on Global TV is being dropped, I believe, like week after week, correct? Like you have to wait a little bit. Obviously, we're kind of in a stage of now with like, at the advent of streaming services, there's kind of different ways how we consume the content. You know what I mean? We actually watch it all, like we binge it, like the Netflix way. And then there's the traditional kind of format of the week to week. The week to week, I feel like I like because it creates the conversations at the dinner table.
Yes. And it gives you something to chew on while you wait for the next one. You're like, okay, where are they going with that?
Sometimes it's hard though. Sometimes there's shows like the HBO stuff, like The Last of Us. Like I just want a new episode right now.
Give it to me all at once, everything, everywhere, all at once, please.
But there's a world for both. I think there's a world that they could both exist.
And it's good for us. I think we need to get back. It practices patience.
But
and
I remember, I would be waiting like a year for like a new season, for example, of Cobra Kai on Netflix. And then, you go and you binge it. And then it's gone. Like you did it in like 8 hours and it's gone.
Yeah. You wait another year. Yeah. All for that.
And it's actually funny too, right? Because it's almost like a frustrating thing because it's like, some of these shows take a long time to film, right? So people are taking like 2 years of filming this, and you're watching it in 7 hours.
Yeah, you have 2 days, you're done. Yeah. And then on them about when the next one's coming out. They're like, we just gave it to you.
What were the days like? How your stuff specifically for Robyn Hood? How long did you film season 1? Like, what was the duration for you specifically?
I was there for a couple of months.
Okay.
Very long days. They were filming multiple blocks, so they were jumping between episodes.
Okay.
So it was a long little bit.
Yeah, it depends on the project. It really depends on the project and everything. But like sometimes, you're there for a while. But I know sometimes the big misconception too is like sometimes the show might take 3 months, but maybe your stuff took like a month. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. My stuff actually did take a month. We stretched over the 2, but like consecutively, if we were to line me up and do it all back to back to back, it would probably fall within the month.
100%. Do you ever watch shows too where like you watch like the pilot and then like you realize that it's like, this has happened so many times where like you watch the first episode, you realize that they did that quite a bit ago and then they went back and then you're like, you're watching like episode 3 and 4. You're like, in episode 1, they look very young. They look younger.
Yeah. You're like, did 2 years pass? Like, what's the time?
Yes, it did pass potentially, especially.
Literally.
It's so crazy, and you can answer this specifically with like Robyn Hood, but you look at a lot of these characters. A lot of these characters are trying to figure things out. They're trying to kind of like, it goes back to Robyn Hood, right? Like everyone's doing self-reflection and soul searching and everything. And during the pandemic, we were doing a lot of that because we had the time to do so. So I feel like shows like this become more relatable. Do you think about the self-reflection component now, like because of the pandemic, when you kind of sign on to a new project? Because that was like a big part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with the pandemic, I spent way more time with myself, started therapy for the first time. Yeah. So it was a lot of like internal work that like I couldn't help but bring that kind of reflection to my character, which was amazing. It's like you open up a whole other world within your character when that happens, which was cool. I wasn't expecting that at all. I love it.
Absolutely. And episodes are coming out week after week for Robyn Hood, correct? I think the 27th, September 27th, they started rolling out, correct?
Yes.
And do you know what time they're on at?
They're on at 10 p.m. Eastern.
What day of the week? Is it Fridays?
They're on Wednesdays at 10 p.m.
Wednesdays, 10 p.m. on Global TV. They could check that out. That's Robyn Hood. Bukola, so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
I really appreciate that. Your Instagram account is the best way for people to keep up to date with everything, right? Is it just your name?
Correct. Yeah. Bukola_Ayoka on Instagram.
And they can check out all that stuff. That's awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turner, youtube.com/Pop Turner for previous episodes. You can catch Bukola Ayoka and Robyn Hood on Global TV episodes on Wednesdays. Until next time, this is Bukola and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.